Happy Sunday, my friends. So good to see you. We are still traveling. Have you guys been traveling this summer? I know so many of you have, but we've been traveling in our lessons as well, going all around the world, talking about places we can go and do missions work and tell people about Jesus. So if you've missed any of our lessons this summer, go back TVC Kids Nashville on our YouTube channel. That's a safe channel for kids. So you guys can go back and watch all those. We've talked about some really wonderful, beautiful countries. And we have another this week, and it is Guatemala. Guatemala, all right. So here we are in Guatemala. Can you see this tiny little orange? It's a tiny little country. It's about the same size as Tennessee. We've said that about 3 or 4 times. We've talked about some huge countries like Russia. And then we've talked about some little countries like Bulgaria and Guatemala and Haiti, right? All right. So that's where it is on your globe. I hope you guys will go look it up and find out, because it's a place we can travel. It's not too far from Tennessee. And we know so many people who have gone to Guatemala. Why is that? Because our church takes a trip to Guatemala, and we do that every couple of years. We're so hoping to get back to doing that soon, but Miss Cora, our missions director, leads that trip, and so many of us have children that we sponsor through Compassion International. Do you guys have a child you sponsor? Do you? All right, more about that later, but we sponsor a child in Guatemala as well, and so a lot of our people from TVC go and they get to visit their children, and we've done lots of projects there, and the kids at TVC, we've even sent some things. We've sent big banners with encouraging things with Bible stories on them. We've sent books for their library, and the people that go to Guatemala on missions trips, they often go and build. They built a library, they built a playground. Some of our people even built a stove to cook something very special on, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But let me tell you a little bit more about Guatemala. It is tiny, but it has huge mountains, and some of those mountains are volcanoes. Can you believe it? Yeah, volcanoes. And so when our friends go there, they can walk up the side of the volcano, and their shoes on the bottom sometimes get melty. That's how hot they are. Beautiful, beautiful volcanoes. What language do they speak in Guatemala? Do you guys know? What do you think? Spanish, you're right, which is also a language that many of us in the United States speak. So another great reason why you could go to Guatemala, you could speak the language Spanish. All right, if you're learning Spanish in school, or even just at home with your mom and dad, that's a great language to learn, because so many people in our world speak Spanish, and you can go to Guatemala and be able to speak Spanish. All right, so there's another challenge for you. Learn a language this summer. All right. Families in Guatemala love each other very much. And one of the things they do is go to church. And when they go to church, you're going to see something a little different. Come on in, Mr. Chris. Okay. All right. So one second, babe. In America, if you go to church, a lot of times you'll see a piano, right? In America, sometimes you'll see guitars, right? Maybe in a more formal church, you'll see a big pipe organ, right? But in Guatemala, you'll see a marimba. Play for us a little bit, babe. Nice. All right. So when you go to church in Guatemala, you will see the marimba. That is one of the instruments they play. And it's so much fun. And they can play happy music, and they can play beautiful music. And it's a beautiful instrument. Wooden, made by hand, crafted. All right. So that's a fun instrument that they play in Guatemala. Now, they also do a lot of crafting. I said handcrafted. I mean crafting, okay? I love a good craft, but in Guatemala, they're so massively talented, all right? Whenever my friends go, they bring me back things, and every time I'm so amazed at the beautiful craftsmanship. And a lot of what the girls and women do a lot is called weaving. Do you guys know how to weave? Everybody say over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Yep, you might have made a placemat before, or a little hot pad, or done just a little weaving on your own. Well, these women and girls, they do a lot of weaving, and it's beautiful. So let me show you. This is a belt. Can you guys see that? See just the beautiful design in it? A belt that my friend Cora brought back. Isn't that gorgeous? All right. And then here is a headscarf. Look at how intricate that weaving is. Just tiny little strings that they turn into things. This is one of my favorites that my friend Miss Sophie gave to me. And it is a beautiful bag. Look at the workmanship. All that weaving, and then the zippers and handles all sewn in. So beautiful. It takes so much time, and they're so talented. I love it. That's one of my favorite bags. I'm taking it on my vacation this week. All right. And then this was one of my favorites that my friends Aiden and Emma brought back. And do you know what that's for? So think about all the weaving they've done, right? And all the sewing. And then they made the little Guatemalan girl on the front. And it's to store tortillas. So when you heat up tortillas, you put them in there and you keep them warm. Pretty cool? Yeah, I love it. And then one of the other things that they bring me back from Guatemala all the time is coffee. Coffee, that makes us really happy. But in places where volcanoes are, coffee is really delicious. So do you see those beautiful coffee beans? Yeah. All right. Well, one of the reasons why the women do all this weaving, I mean, it's a tradition. It's passed down from grandmothers to mothers to children to grandchildren. It's passed down. But one of the reasons why they do that, some of it is tradition, and they weave and they can tell a story through the weaving, right, with the colors they use and things that they do. But one of the other reasons is they need to sell things because Guatemala is a very poor country. And so one of the ways that they make money is selling these wares out in the markets. So what that means is the girls are spending a lot of time weaving. Do you think they're spending a lot of time going to school? No. Most kids in Guatemala, they drop out of school by first grade. Let me say that again. How many of you guys are older than first graders? A lot of you, right? That means you would be done with school. Everything you learned in school had to happen by first grade because you needed to go and help support your family. All right? 30%. Okay, so let's take 100 and divide it into 3 parts, okay? 30%. That's how much money the kids have to make in the family to help support the family because the families are so poor. They live in little houses. They often have like 1 or 2 rooms. The mattress. Do you guys ever see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where the grandparents all sleep in the same bed? Yeah, it's kind of funny when you see it on a movie, but that's how they sleep. They have to sleep, many in a bed, many in the same room. There's not a lot of room in their homes. They have tiny little homes, and the kids have to be part of that. They have to be part of making enough money for the people to live there. So they drop out of school, they weave, they go sell things. The boys, a lot of times, they'll be doing car washes, they'll be building things, whatever they can do to make enough money to help raise the family. All right. One of the other things that's kind of fun, I showed you this little tortilla thing. How many love to eat tortillas and beans? I love that. And think about this. When our friends went down, they built an oven, and it was specifically for the women to make tortillas because these ladies, they spend all day making tortillas, especially in these compassion projects where all the kids come and want to eat, right? But they're making these tortillas and making these tortillas. Why? Because pretty much tortillas and beans you eat every day. Now, I love tortillas and beans, but every day? But that's because that's what they have money for. All right? So think about that. Think about how much money does it take to feed a family in America? How much money does it take to feed a family in Guatemala? They don't have enough money. They eat tortillas and beans. All right? So I hope you guys will think about that when you eat your next meal, of a variety of food, of all the colors, all the things that Mom serves to you. Make sure you're remembering to pray for kids who eat tortillas and beans. All right, you guys. Hey, I asked at the beginning, how many of you guys sponsor a child? I know a lot of our TVC kids do, a lot of our TVC families do, but what part of that are you in your family? I said the kids in Guatemala, they have to help raise things just to live. You guys, your parents don't make you go out and have a job. They want you to go to school. They want you to have playtime, right? They drive you all over Nashville or all over the city you live in to do activities and fun things. Kids in Guatemala don't have that so much, all right? They have to work. They have to make things to sell things. But what can you guys do? if you don't sponsor a child already, maybe talk to mom and dad. Can I sponsor a child? Talk to Miss Cora from our church, and she could help you get connected with Compassion, and maybe even get a child in one of the projects that we have children in at TVC. But even if you don't get one of those, sponsor a child. Do something to help a child today. And your kids, I know you don't make lots of money, but could you save some money? Could you earn some money? Maybe you could sell lemonade. Maybe you could make some things to sell. Maybe you can do some chores, and instead of buying another toy, you save some of that money. Put that together in a jar. Put that together in a box, whatever you want to hold it in. Maybe it's a tortilla saver. Put it together in a basket. But see if you talk to your mom and dad. Say, hey, can we sponsor a child? I want to help. Maybe 30% of it is what you could help with. Maybe you and your sisters and brothers can get together and say, we're going to put some of the money we make doing chores, or the money we make selling things or making things. Maybe we could put some of that together. I think you guys are old enough now to start helping others. All right? See, be creative. These kids in Guatemala are so creative, right? They are creative. I can't even believe how beautifully creative they are. They are creative, and they do that to help support their families. I wonder if you can be creative with your family and come up with a way to raise enough money to support a child in Guatemala. Do you think you can? I think you can too. God will love that. He will love that you are loving your neighbor all the way in Guatemala, right? He tells us to go out, tell all the people, every generation, every nation, to tell everyone about Jesus. We're doing that. We're trying to do that, but one way of doing that is helping a child. When you support a child through Compassion, they get food, they get clothing, they get schooling, and they get church. They're going to go to church, and they're going to sing and dance to the marimba. All right? I so hope you guys will take a look at that. Think about that. Talk to your mom and dad. Think about a way that you can support a child, a way that you can encourage a child in the Lord. He loves you so very much, you guys, and he loves that you want to tell others about him. God loves you. I love you. And we're going to talk about another country next week. All right, you guys. See you later.